Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The second half of the season now begins, and the first half certainly seemed to be a runaway train for one driver in particular. Andrew Dyson certainly put himself head and shoulders above everybody else, and the question will now be asked of everyone else around him in the championship: do they have enough to take the fight to one Andrew Dyson? We come to a circuit which is one of the most recent on the iRacing service, one of the free tracks on the iRacing service. Welcome to Rankstad in Norway. We're here at the Rudskogen Motorsenter, and this is round 7 of your DSL Welding Services V8 SuperCup. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world for today's coverage. My name is Jake Sperry. Brady Baldwin alongside me here today with Jay Kennedy in the production trailer for us here around this Norwegian track. Not often that you get to talk Norwegian race circuits. The first one that comes to mind is the Rallycross circuit over at Hell, but we find ourselves at Rudskogen Motorsenter today, and this is pretty much one of these hidden gem style circuits, Brady, where it's got a little bit of everything and you can't believe you've never heard of it.
Yeah, certainly, Sperry. Thank you for the fantastic introduction once again. Rudskogen, we talked about it last night on the broadcast. Our Herman Tilke built racetrack, hidden gem, like you said, in Norway, and produces some really good racing in these big V8 touring cars. So I can't wait for tonight.
I can't wait either. You got a very, very important look as we go through. Let's take a dive down though with our Google Earth look at the Rudskogen Motorsenter. So we zoom in on Scandinavian territory, and you can see Rudskogen about halfway between Oslo and Stockholm, which puts it very close to the Swedish-Norwegian border as we zoom on into it. And this, of course, a track which very conveniently hides itself away in the forests and is one of these circuits where you can learn quite a bit. It's an anti-clockwise layout circuit, which doesn't seem quite right because it looks very clockwise to me in terms of how you go through. So let's have a little look at that. 3.254 kilometers, 2.022 miles. This has been the layout since 2012. The track, of course, the north side of the circuit, or I'd say from around turn 10, 11, 12. That's all been part of the circuit since the very, very beginning. But now you've got that brand new layout through turns 1 and 2 and the massive descent here, Brady, down into turns 3 and 4. It's a huge corner down there, and turn 3 might be the best place to get it done.
Yeah, certainly. Turn 3 is definitely one of the overtaking opportunities. Turn 10 as well is a very good opportunity to make some moves, and we even seen some moves last night in turn 1 if you're bold enough. So not many overtaking opportunities. It's a very tight track, a little bit of a Winton sort of hybrid track, and we're in for a good race tonight.
We certainly are, and on top of that, we are in for a treat no matter which way you look at it overall. Let's take a championship view then, see exactly where everybody stacks up. And Andrew Dyson has been absolutely fantastic, walking away at the top of the table right now, 219 points compared to the 156 that Sebastian Varndell has in second position. It's a three-way fight for the top of the championship, because you do have Blake Warboys, who's in third position on 151 points, just 5 points back of Varndale, with the likes of Thomas Freeman and Tim Mulford in fourth and fifth. Blake Delaney, Michael Whiting, Michael Taliancic, all there, all in the mix. So too Teo Sorono in ninth, and Matt Stewart creeping his way up into the top 10 after a good showing last time out at the Motor City. Well, it's not the Motor City, we'll be heading to the Motor City later, at the Windy City, I should say, of Chicago. Over to the Sports Championship side, though, here, and Brady, Luke Crum, looking after last week's race like he is ready to take this championship by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah, certainly Luke Crum's been the most outstanding performer in the Sport Championship all season. Very consistent. Picked up a few wins as well. And he's got a 36-point gap back to Ty Delaney, who's been very impressive in picking up speed each and every week. And then 1 point back to Jack Anderson in P3, with Tomlin and Hanlon running out the top 5. So certainly the Sport Championship's been just as good racing as the Pro Championship this season so far through the first 6 rounds. And Luke Crum's pretty much just got to keep capitalising on them good results.
Luke Crum hasn't turned up to every race, but every race he has turned up to in the category, he has won. Now, it's a 46-lap race today here around the Rudskogen Motorsenter, which means that they are going to be restricted, as per usual, to the 3 tyre sets available to them and the 66.6-litre fuel tank, which they have there for them. We are currently in the 30 minutes of qualifying right now. Practice took itself about an hour here today. No surprises who's at the top. It's Andrew Dyson, who leads the field on a 120.157. He makes his way effectively on the natural road here towards turn number 4. It's very useful to have that as a reference marker in the middle of the track. You can see it descends down the hill and then back up through turn number 4. And then you got that middle sector, which absolutely opens everything up. The left of 5 and 6. Very easy to make contact through there if you're not paying attention. And then, such a difficult corner is turn number 7. You can see how it plateaus up over the rise and down the hill through the long turn number 8. I wouldn't really like to be lap traffic gearing up for a flying lap, or lap traffic in general here today, because it looks like it could be nightmarish.
Yeah, certainly, Spear. We talked about it last night as well. The undulation on this track is very, very difficult when you're inside the race car, but for visibility as well as car handling. It makes it very difficult, and makes it very difficult to not see where you're actually going. I've done a few laps myself over the last couple of days, and that was the one thing that I noticed. The elevation changes throughout the whole lap is absolutely massive, so pretty much got to keep your wits about you and try and look ahead as much as you can.
Andrew Dyson using all of the outside, trying to gather it back up to straight line as much as possible. This charge over towards the line to gear up for this flying lap. Thomas Freeman second, Blake Warboys currently third in category. Short run on the brakes then to turn number 1. It's a fast left-right, very reminiscent of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which is inspired on. They're always trying to put the power on as late as you possibly can, but then you hit this section back down the hill, and then you got the fast turn 3, turn and brake, turn and brake, turn and brake. Wait a little bit longer here at turn 4 to put the power on. It really does jump at you, the exit of turn 4. Now flicking through the S's, turns 5 and 6, and then at the top of the hill, turn 7, heavy over the curb goes Dyson. Can he get it nice and squared in at turn 8? Maybe a little bit too far away from the curb. Got it there at the end. And then you're flicking through turn 9, passing the rock face on the right-hand side. And then the turn 10 hairpin. He overshoots it under braking. And that lap gets abandoned then, Brady.
He was on a decent lap then there, Sperry, but 378 was just losing the rear just a little bit and ran wide there at turn 10. So aborted his lap, but we go to the number 1 machine. Fishy Motorsports, Thomas Freeman. He's just starting another flying lap. He's only half a tenth of Andrew Dyson, so not much to gain there, and he'll be on pole position. So we'll see what he can do as he comes through turn 3 and 4.
We certainly will. Freeman then flicking through 3 and 4 and trying to navigate a way through on this lap. Just in front of Freeman as a reference will be Dylan O'Shea, who is 5th fastest in the Simrigs.com DPR car. Led the championship after 1 round, did Dylan O'Shea. Hasn't quite been able to replicate the pace of a couple rounds in this championship, but would certainly love to make something of it. Freeman rounding through turn 10, back up the hill then. Small flick left of 11 and then in towards turn 12. The 90-degree left-hander passing the old pit building, the left of 13 and the long 270-degree right to end the lap at turn 14. Almost flat lap time, not going to count for Thomas Freeman. He's going to pull the car off. 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining on the clock. Important as Tim Mulford and the 85 Phoenix Racing car remains in 9th position right now, just behind Blake Delaney out there overall. So there's still some work to be done. Same too can be said for Blake Warboys, who is searching for a 10th and a 3rd out there on circuit. Moving up through towards turn number 12 on track and trying to get that Ford really gathered up and nicely put together, the WKMP SimSports entry.
Yeah, certainly. Warboys looks like a very tidy end of the lap at the moment. Can he improve on his 1 minute 20.287 across the line? Won't quite improve, just a little bit off 20.3. They'll keep him position number 3 for the moment.
So we're talking conditions here today because track temperature is a very cold 23 degrees. In sim time, it's not even 9:15 at this moment in time as we look at Seb Varndale, car number 4, out there overall, really trying to make some progress, flicking through turn 9, heading towards 10, and trying to open up this section of track as much as possible. Attack after 73 kilometers an hour, back up the hill to get that drive. You go from 70 to about 160 before trying to flick it through, and a big slide going through. That locked rear diff is going to be so important. That rear axle, and again it goes for Varndale. And it's twice over the course of a lap. You can save it once and just about get away with it twice. That's it. Bye-bye lap time.
Yeah, certainly a big moment there for Varndale towards the end of the lap. He won't improve as we go on board with Jai Schultz at the moment, the number 27 machine. He's down the order P number 22 at the moment as he comes through turn number 10. Gets to turn in really nicely. One of the more difficult corners on the track. You've got to slow right down first gear corner. Then up the rise through 11 and 12 gets a nice little exit there. Hits the apex really nicely. Gets into 13 across the curb. Then he'll get it rotated into 14. His best lap at the moment is a 22.332. So we'll see the Platinum Racing 27 machine has a massive moment on the exit of the final corner. He certainly won't be improving with that.
No, he won't. And that's a real shame because it was looking pretty nicely gathered going forward. Not so much anymore. Thomas Freeman, number 1, flicking up through the middle sector, up over at 7 and 8, looking to try and really mastermind the elevation here around this Rudskogen circuit. Michael Whiting has just jumped up to 8th fastest on a 20.779. In fact, matching the time there just in front of him of Jamie Dyke. There is 100th between 6th and 8th at this moment. Someone we haven't really talked about, though, over the qualifying effort, making a first start of the season, is the 017 out there right now, and that is Brian Borg, who is certainly going to be in amongst the pigeons here today and is stage hunting. Freeman over then towards the line, a 166. It looks like it is on the board. A 160 it will be classed as, and is short by 4 thousandths of a second. That is agony when you see that.
That's certainly the closest margin we've seen for pole position all season long. So fantastic lap there for Thomas Freeman. He'll get up right on the back of Dyson. Dyson will be aware of that too. He's still sitting in the pit lane at the moment, Andrew Dyson, so not going out. But Thomas Freeman will be coming out of the pits, and he should get enough time to go around and get one more flying lap in before the session ends.
There's Ty Delaney here, also a Fishy Motorsport, but is the current pole sitter when it comes to the sports category division. So is there by 0.2 of a second over Matthew Shanahan, who is in that 16th place or second in class as things stands at the moment. It's a 30-car field here today, and I do believe that Michael Taliancic in the 777 will not set a time out there over qualifying due to what happened last time out. So unfortunately for him, he'll have to do all his work from the very, very back of the field here at Rudskogen to make his progress forward in this race. But we take the look then with that driver in Ty Delaney, in the 07 running through turn 3. We're into the final minute now. The drivers who aren't out on track won't get another lap in, Brady, and crucially, it's about who's the last one over the line, who's going to get the final conditions to go and set a big qualifying lap.
Yeah, so we just see over 40 seconds remaining in the session. Thomas Freeman, importantly, he's coming through turn 13 right now. He's about to start his flying lap. He's pushed for pole. Doesn't have a lot of time left. Trying to see who else of the big guns will be trying to get that flying lap in. Brian Borg, he's coming around turn 8 and 9 now, so he'll be pretty tight, but it looks like he might be on a lap right now. So we might try and jump on board with Thomas Freeman as we try and see if he can snatch pole position last minute.
Borgie's going to be short. Matthew Shanahan might be one of the last drivers over the line. Jai Schultz, potentially. Borg making his run then through turn 12. He'll be one of the first over the line. Schultz is going to be short as the checkered flag comes out. So the likes of Hallen will try and set a time. Brian Borg looking to improve to the tune of 0.3 of a second. That would be enough to jump him into second position as a 20.401. He did improve, but not by enough. He only found half a tenth. Jake Jackson will fall into the pits. Tim Mulford currently out on a lap. So too is Jack Mickelson here for Infinity Racing. So Mulford, no lap will count. But Jack Mickelson through 12, and this is where you need the car to be as balanced as possible. Then the wide run through 13 and 14, trying to open up the attack of the Infinity Racing car off of the exit, and whether that is going to be enough to jump up and find a good lap time over the line. So 22 flat. Mickelson remains in 19th position. Behind that, though, there is Harry Dodds, who's had a great qualifying here today. He's in 13th. And you've got Blake Delaney, who's in 9th position now, looking to improve. A 10th will do it. A 10th will do it. And that one, I don't think did it. 20.5. So, oh, it did. Oh, it did by a lot. Sorry. Up to 5th. Blake Delaney, what a time that is. Caught me well off guard with that lap time, which just leaves Brian Borg, of course, who's gone around. And that should be that then in terms of qualifying, because he, of course, already set his representative lap. So let's get the qualifying results on screen. A few shocks up and down the order then, and some great qualifying efforts that have come through. But number 41, Andrew Dyson, 0.004 of a second, says he's got pole position over Thomas Freeman in the Fishy Motorsport number 1 entry. Blake Warboys and Brian Borg will house row 2. A great last-ditch lap time from Blake Delaney was enough to jump him up into 5th position, with Dylan O'Shea in 6th place, the second of the Simrooms.com DPR cars. Over in 7th is Sebastian Varndell. Once more, he'll have work to do, with Jamie Dyke in 8th position. Michael Whiting will start this one from 9th, and Tim Mulford will round out the top 10. Connor Nixon, good qualifying from him, in 11th, with Jake Jackson in 12th position on this grid, with Harry Dodds and Andy Barber on row 7. Row 8 will house the battle at the front of the field for the sports category, with Ty Delaney and Matthew Shanahan 15th and 16th respectively. Seth Brown and Aidan Ford will be there in row number 9, with row 10 housing Jack Mickelson, and in 20th position, the championship leader of sport, Luke Crum. There you got Tom Pritchard and Jai Schultz, 21st and 22nd. Martin Hallinan will go from 23rd, with Wade Sheedy in 24th position. John Fillingham, Shane Nowens, Jack Anderson, Troy Mortensen, and Chris Tomlin make 29. No time set by Michael Taliancic. He's going to have work to do from the very back of the field in the 777 Pursuit Sim Racing outfit. 2 minutes to grid themselves up. But Brady, that run turn 1, turn 2, very similar to what goes on, of course, at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. But crucially, I think it's slightly tighter through that opening left-hander.
Yeah, certainly. We compared it last time to Motorpark Oschersleben that we've seen in round 1 for turn 1 and 2. Very, very tight. And we've seen nothing too bad through there last night. So hopefully these drivers can get through 30 cars. So a bit of a smaller field. And we've got 46 laps on the board, just a one-stop race. So everyone try and get in position on the first lap and try and make the most of it.
couple of drivers then waiting right to the final stages to allow themselves that chance to grid up and go for it. It's going to be a really, really important race. Michael Taliancic not in service, so he won't score points tonight, but everyone's going to be getting themselves now ready for this run. This is Rudskogen, and for the first time here, when it comes to SimSpeed TV, we'll get a real look at what this circuit means as we take it with full 46 laps of fours. Green flag in the air. Brian Borg with an awful start from the second row of the grid as we get ourselves underway. They all fan out. Dyson got a fantastic launch and a big lunge then up the inside. Blake Warboy's just about getting away with it then as they go through. A fantastic start then for Blake Delaney, moves up a place into fourth, but everybody just about makes it through the opening couple of corners then as they now descend down to turns 3 and 4. Borg on the inside of Delaney. Delaney now finds himself on the freight train. Seb Varndell now finding himself now an opportunity to attack. Will take 2 places through the double apex right as they'll now challenge their way up the hill through the S's.
Very clean getaway from Andrew Dyson. Very clean start for the rest of the field. We got through, as I say that, there's a big moment in the background. We'll try and pick it up as Ty Delaney, the 07 machine, a big moment for the Fishy Motorsports machine. We'll try and pick up what happened there. Just looks like contact with another car in the background there for Ty Delaney, so very unlucky for him. Might try and pick up a replay of that later on, but Andrew Dyson, what a getaway from him at the start.
It was Jake Jackson he made contact with, and crucially, Jake Jackson didn't quite get himself alongside. But the opening lap then put in the books. Andrew Dyson doing exactly what he needs to do. Build a margin out from the front of this field and work from that position onwards. It looks like there is a bit of argy-bargy a little bit further down in the pack because it looks like Martin Hallinan has been turned around just before the final corner out on circuit. But as they head through turn 2, it is going to be Thomas Freeman giving chase. Then it's Blake Warboys in 3rd position. Brian Borg in 4th. Dylan O'Shea giving company in 5th position. Down the hill again at turn 3. And the Fishy Motorsport car will now settle into rhythm. Will now sit and wait patiently to see if number 41 at any point can make a mistake.
Yeah, certainly this track isn't probably the best on tyres. We go to the VRS replay of that first lap incident between Jake Jackson and Ty Delaney. And Jackson just got the nose in there, didn't get the move done whatsoever. He wasn't up far enough and might see a penalty coming his way if he hasn't readjusted the position. As we have another look, the 51 machine, that is Seth Brown, is it in the fence? So big moment there. Oh, no, sorry, it's the 17, my mistake, 17.
Yeah, that's Matthew Shanahan then finding troubles, then locking up the rears down the hill, and that elevation change will make a lot of difference. And as such, places falling around. Brian Borg looking behind him at this moment in time at Dylan O'Shea, number 19, trying to work her way up into 4th place. No dice then through turns 1 and 2. It's just a little bit too quick at this point to make the move, but maybe down the hill. But Borg gets great pickup off of the exit then of turn 2, is able to maintain that margin and maintain that gap. We'll take another little look then at the virtual race score replay. So this is what happens. A huge slide through the corner. Try and save it best you possibly can and manage that. And I believe it just continued on from there. Moving through though, keep an eye out on the middle sectors and who's attacking who. It's Tim Mulford right now who's got eyes on Michael Whiting, who's gone through. Harry Dodds, who's also gone through. So 2 places lost for Tim Mulford on this lap already.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mulford he's backed up now. He'll be down in position number 12, unfortunately, for Mulford. So a few spots lost there. As we go back on screen, Dylan O'Shea, he's up 2 positions, started P6, probably a little bit lower than his high standards in the V8 touring cars. And right behind Brian Borg, bit of a moment there for Dylan O'Shea. He's right on the back of Brian Borg, but then in the background, we've got O'Shea as well. And Thomas Freeman, actually, we've only just picked up. Thomas Freeman's back to 5th, so must have been a mistake on the previous lap there.
Yeah, it was lap 2 where it all went wrong. He went wide. I think he was serving a slowdown penalty on lap 2. And as such, he gives it away. And that's why he's dropped all the way down to 5th place in this one. That's a big moment then, right across the circuit then, from one of the machines out there. That's definitely not what you want to be seeing out there on circuit, but that is, I believe, Jack Anderson potentially finding himself in the wrong position. So, sorry, it was Connor Nixon finding himself there. Very scary position. And it looks like Connor Nixon is stopped, actually, out on circuit. And that means it's a safety car.
Yeah, certainly Connor Nixon pulled up in a vulnerable spot there. So we see the safety car come out, and more importantly, will everyone be pitting under the safety car because it's still very early in the race? We talked about the critical lap number being approximately about lap 20 for these guys to pit and get home. So certainly way earlier than that. So we'll see if anyone comes in for a top up and an extra set of tyres and who might stay out.
It's a very weird instant there for Connor Nixon because he just pulls it over to the right-hand side and says that's that after the contact. So that was always going to be difficult. But here's a little look at the VRS replay. This is where it goes wrong then for number one. And that looks very much like I'm getting out of the way of everyone to serve a slow down penalty. If there is any bad lap, Brady, to have a slow down penalty, lap 2 by far and away is the worst time to have one.
Yeah, certainly, especially when the field's all bunched up as well. You're going to lose more positions, unfortunately, for Thomas Freeman. That's seen him go from position number 2 down to P5. As we see some cars in the lane, the top 5, 6 guys all haven't pitted. So the top 10 looks like haven't pitted. So looks like a few guys are in the lane and taking audacious 2-stop strategy tonight.
Well, it's a free stop under these pitting conditions. They'll get this fresh set of tyres. They get 3 available to them, 3 sets. So you might as well take the tyres now, take the fuel to top up, because you're going to get yourself about 4 or 5 laps compared to everybody else. So here's another little look then at what happens coming out of the final corner, looking to make some drive. And every single corner matters. And this is what catches Connor Nixon out then, moving through turns 1 and then in through turn 2. So gets a nice run through 1, looking to try and attack up the hill, opens it up, in fact pushes him a little bit, unsettles the car through turn 2, and then by the time he's trying to lean in on it, there's the contact, the extra contact that puts him in a very, very difficult position. And now he doesn't stop the car until he gets around the rest of the lap. So he goes about to turn 8, which is where he pulls the car over and says, you know what, I can't go any further. We'll stay with it right now here with your DSL Welding Services V8 SuperCup. And now running through, trying to stay out of the way here through turn 4, and it's up towards turn 8 where the key is. So flicking through the left and the right, that's all okay. Going through the left, going through the right, and then going through the next left, going forward. Nothing seems to be wrong. Nothing seems to be wrong. And then pulls it over on the right-hand side. And at that point, car stops. And there's where the safety car gets thrown.
Yeah, I was looking out for a possible engine failure from the contact there, but doesn't seem anything like that to happen. So it looks like he's just retired the car. Couldn't make it back around or something like that. So safety car's been called out. Looks like most of the field's all bunched up now. So hopefully the safety car will be coming in this time by, and we'll go back green flag racing.
After Chicago last week, I'm pretty sure a lot of these drivers will be sick of the word safety car and seeing yellow flags. But one final look then. This. Oh, you have to choose a side. And that there for what is the 857, I do believe it was, or sorry, the 080, whatever it was. They're very much having to get out of the way and just about did enough at that stage. In fact, that would have been Harry Dodds, I would have believed, or just trying to avoid that. So very, very great heads-up driving to just stay out of the way of it. But Andrew Dyson is your race leader, with Blake Warboys in second and Brian Borg in third. It's Dylan O'Shea fourth, Thomas Freeman fifth, and Sebastian Varndell in sixth position. It's Blake Delaney that follows that. Jamie Dyke, Harry Dodds, and Michael Whiting rounding out the top 10. Luke Crum is your leader in category for Super Sport. He has moved up then into the lead of that, has a 1 car in between of Seth Brown, between him and Ty Delaney, who will be giving the chase out there overall. And crucially, the safety car has been given license to pull away, which means that we will be going back to green flag running on lap 7 here of 46 at the Rudskogen Motorsenter as we get ourselves ready to go. Andrew Dyson has been a linchpin on these restarts. He just absolutely puts the foot to the floor and gets away from everyone. That's what he manages. And I wonder here, with the wider line that's taken, someone like Blake Warboys could have been a little bit cheeky and got to the inside. When do you want to wait? When do you want to wait? Puts the power on as late as possible. Andrew Dyson with a fantastic jump gets us back to green flag running here from Rudskogen. Warboys in second. We'll have to be a little bit concerned with Brian Borg. A few looks here and there. Little search up the inside from Seb Varndell's not going to get it on Thomas Freeman, but we're back going again here at Rudskogen.
Again, a fantastic restart there for Dyson. Got about 4 or 5 car lengths there on Blake Warboys. He's pulled away. And like you said, Varndell had a little look on the inside of Thomas Freeman. Couldn't quite get it done. Very tight turn 1. He's going to look again down the inside. Seb Varndell gets the job done. On Thomas Freeman at turn 4. They're going to be side by side into 5 though. Who gives way? Varndell's going to lift out a little bit. There's still side by side contacts made.
Freeman sliding across. He's going to go straight across the apex and everybody gets out of the way. Just about everybody. Some amazing heads-up driving from Jamie Dyke and from Harry Dodds, who find a way through. The biggest loser in all of that was Michael Whiting. He dropped about 4 or 5 different places, and then tap on the back, Jake Jackson getting a little bit liberal with Jack Mickelson. So it's really starting to heat up on this restart. And one small mistake, the thing that gets everybody caught out, turn 5, turn 6, you can't go too wide through there. If you do, it's normally an accident.
Yeah, we certainly interested to see how race control decide that. If there is any penalties, both drivers will not giving each other any room. It was just really hard racing. We'll go to the VRS replay. This should be on board with Michael Whiting in the 025 machine in behind Harry Dodds. And the big moment there from his teammate, Thomas Freeman. A lot of evasive action there, like you said, from Jamie Dyke. Harry Dodds took real good action there, but unfortunately those guys too lost position, slowing down for him.
Yeah, they certainly did. Michael Whiting's going to have to try harder to win that back out there overall. Diving down through the S's. 1 car running wide, 2 cars running wide there. So Jackson running wide is going to allow Barber the chance to jump through. And then that leaves on the outside Aidan Ford, who now can attack off in the middle there of that section of the S's. He's right on the outside, but if he can put the power down early, he might have a chance, but he has to try and fall back into line. There is your leader in category, Luke Crum in the LCR car. Behind him is Ty Delaney direct. So Delaney is absolutely going to want to try and make that move, but they've got quick drivers there in and around them, like Wade Sheedy, who's going to want to try and go through. Now, lap 3, turn 1, 168, no penalty being called by the steward, so that's worth keeping in mind. But this is important now. Drivers will have a bit of damage here and there that will be nursing. You can see it there on the front right. There's Blake Warboys, though. 0.3 of a second the gap, heading in towards turns 1 and 2, but can't quite navigate to find the overtake just yet.
Yeah, certainly Warboys looks like he's got a little bit of pace on Dyson at the moment. That last one by was 0.2 quicker than Andrew Dyson. He's put a little bit of a gap on Brian Borg already. So Warboys certainly got some pace to burn at the moment. He's going to try and get after Dyson, who's very much been dominating this series so far. He's put in some really good performances and real good drives, even when he's had his back against the wall too. So Warboys certainly wants to get that top set of the podium tonight.
Well, he'll want to go one further. He wants second race win of the season after the victory that he had earlier on at Phillip Island. That is certainly in the back of the mind for Blake Warboys, with Brian Borg, with Dylan O'Shea there. He'll want to get on with it pretty quickly. Thomas Freeman has certainly got some work to do as he goes forward. I tell you what, though, Blake Delaney's trying to get back into this race as well, and he's there in 6th position and is worth a little look at because he is just keeping honest. Second in the championship, Seb Varndell, who's seen over the last 3 or 4 weeks here, Brady, the top 2 who are on screen right now, race away with this championship as they go through. Seb Varndell has been very much not got the pace, but he's got the consistent finishing.
Yeah, Sam Varndale can be Mr. Consistent this season. He's always around the 3rd to 5th place range all season long. So he gets some really good results. Some high caliber drivers in this field. So being around that top 5 every week, certainly not a bad thing for Sam Varndale. He just doesn't quite have enough to pressure the likes of Dyson Warboys. And this week, Brian Borg's showing some really good pace too in his limited starts in this series. Of course, Dylan O'Shea, our round 1 winner. So certainly, Seb Varndale's been right thereabouts every single week.
Well, limited starts means 1 start so far for Brian Borg, so very limited in terms of starts. As now, it looks like Dylan O'Shea has dropped back a couple places. Very, very easy to do. And he's just run wide, actually, at turn number 7. So up over the hill. And it looks like he was trying to serve a penalty going through that section. So very easy to do, very easy to pick up over these curbs because they are so inviting. They are incredibly large curbs built for cutting, so to speak. But the iRacing track limit system says you don't want to cut them too much.
Yeah, certainly. We've seen even last on as well, Speria, people taking advantage or disadvantage because they were getting a few penalties last time from the off track, especially through turn 1 and 2, people cutting it just a little bit fine, and it hurts you so much of this track being a shorter lap time as well, and everyone's so close together. It's certainly going to hurt you more than anything. So drivers will be aware of that and hopefully don't abuse it too much and cost themselves some time.
The train now stacks up behind Sebastian Varndale, and he will have Blake Delaney and Dylan O'Shea trying to figure a way through. Thomas Freeman will try and get back onto it with Jamie Dyke and Harry Dodds, and then Tim Mulford and Michael Whiting. Well, don't count them out. They want to get in the mix as well as they flick up through the S's section and in towards turn number 7 once again. And moving through 8 and 9, big mistake from Dylan O'Shea. And once again, he will drop the time on the slowdown penalty and allow Thomas Freeman the chance then to move through. And another place will go as Dylan O'Shea will have to give it up to Jamie Dyke out there on track as well. So the drive-through penalty is going to be key. Now, lap 7, turn 5, that's going to be a case of the no penalty being called then for number 4. So crucially, they thought that the number 1 then was in position because the number 4 car, Seb Varndale, got the car just about enough alongside. There's the race, 11th, 12th and 13th right now. Andy Barber just holding off Jake Jackson and Jack Mickelson.
Yeah, certainly interesting to note there. No penalty between the Freeman and Varndale incident earlier on, but on screen, these guys are going hard at it. There's some good battles all throughout the field. Everyone's so tightly nipped together so far. Jack Mickelson, as we've seen, Jake Jackson and Andy Barber battling for the back half of the top 10, 12th to 14th at the moment. So those guys are doing a really good job as well and keeping the car clean as we're about probably 8 laps away from the pit window opening.
Yeah, and of course, that one pit window, they can't go to the end on fuel, so they will have to take their fuel and their tyres as well out on circuit. Jamie Dyke now, Fishy Motorsport takes a slowdown penalty over the circuit, and as such has to drop back all those places behind Whiting, Mulford and Harry Dodds as well. So that's 3 places for nothing, and those are the sorts of penalties that hurt the absolute most around this Rudskogen Motorsenter. So they'll have to be careful about that, will the likes of the Fishy Motorsports drivers, that they're not incurring those sorts of penalties too often over the course of the racing action. Gearing up as well with Wade Sheedy and co, because you've got likes of Chris Tomlin there, John Fillingham, Shane Nowens, all towards the rear of the field, having a pretty good race of things as well. And it's about drive off the exit. And I tell you what, John Fillingham's got one at this moment. Tomlin in the 212 car, going to be looking behind, seeing the 151, try and figure a way through. Not at turn 1, that's going to happen, but maybe at 3 might be a possibility right now, Brady.
Yeah, certainly John Fillingham trying to get onto the back there of Christopher Tomlin battle in the sport category. These guys are going hard at it. And interesting to note, Ty Delaney, we see him getting turned around in the race by Luke Jackson it was. He's already back in the lead of the sport category, so Ty Delaney is absolutely flying. He's past Luke Crum, or the lead of the sport category. He's nearly pulled 2 seconds on him already, so very impressive driving for the 07 machine.
Very impressive. Up over the hill, then they go, cresting around to turn 8, and then following that, turn number 9, the flick right past the rock wall on the right-hand side. Then on the brakes, the one thing that you can say about the middle sector of the lap is that there is no room to think or breathe. You are very much in the thick of it. You're in the quagmire, and you have to really work hard to go and get back into this race. You have to work hard through every single section because you don't get as much of a luxury due to the smaller nature of this circuit of the big, long Tilker-inspired straight.
Yeah, certainly. It's no rest around here. A few drivers have been saying that about this racetrack. It's always
Freeman.
up on the wheel, as we see Thomas Freeman. Possibly he's gotten... No, he hasn't
Got
gotten
through.
past... He's got through, actually, on Dylan O'Shea. Dylan O'Shea's dropped a
No.
couple spots, actually.
That's Blake Delaney that he's gone through on just there. So the fishy car finds himself behind, and this is how it happened. Trying to get the look then at the inside on the brakes. Thank you very much. That is what turn 3 is there for. And it's so inviting just to send one up to the inside and go, you know what? I have confidence in my car, unlike everyone else.
Yeah, it was a good commitment there from Thomas Freeman. Got the move done, and he'll be looking to chase after Seb Varndell for round 2 of their battle for this race. And Varndell, again, like we talked about before, doesn't quite have enough to stick with the top 3. He's already dropped off 4 seconds off the back of the pack in the last, probably 6 laps since the restart. And Andrew Dyson, he's checked out to a 9-second lead. Not that much in the grand scheme of things, but they were right bumper to bumper just a couple laps ago. So it looks like Dyson's just put the foot down just a little bit to build a bit of a lead.
Certainly has done, and putting that foot down is key. The juiced car of Harry Dodds now in 8th position. It's going to be worth a little look in terms of this race because you've got Whiting and Dyke now trying to make their way back through into this one. Michael Whiting really underneath in the draft. Isn't going to be close enough to make a lunge, but maybe if the door gets left open through this right-hander, which it isn't, it's firmly shut, moving through, covered with a more narrow line, you might have a chance through 3 and 4, but up the hill now through 5 and through 6 and into 7, the brilliant section, and Whiting runs wide. Thank you very much. And Seb Varndell not happy over the radio because the position has been lost, and it's been lost heading towards turn 4 with a little bit of biffo, a bit of touring car love. Got a tap at turn 2 and then heading down the hill here to turn number 4. Is the move all nicely sorted and clean? Well, he pinches to the inside and he feels, well, you've pushed me well off the road. He's fortunate to hold on to a place, but I don't think there's any Christmas card exchanging anytime soon, Brady.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's probably a bit of a biffo move out of the way, a bit of payback for that earlier incident. Thomas Freeman maybe not too happy with how things played out before. We'll have to see if Race Control do anything about that, but going back down the field there, Harry Dodds, he's now leader of this little pack here from 8th down to 12th with Mulford and Dyke in behind him, and then Mocha White has just dropped off just a little bit, probably not well in range of these 3 at the moment, but still right there as we go to the VRS replay.
This will be Blake Delaney's view then, and it's close, but it looks like every single stage of the way, Varndell was giving the room, and he took and took and took and took and took until there was even more than the track width that was there, and he still wanted to make a little bit of contact. Just shows you how much Thomas Freeman really wants to take out of that track. Still, though, got that battle continuing on, and this is where it gets vital here for Varndell. He can't stew too much about the past because the future, which is Blake Delaney and Dylan O'Shea, they're right there behind, and they'll very easily go through. Now, the call here is that the car number 1 is to redress with car number 4. That's the call with the incident, is that there's a redress because the incident wasn't a fair pass. And this is where it gets difficult because you got to try and redress the place without losing 2 more. And I tell you what, that is a fantastic redress there from Thomas Freeman. Immediately allows him to go back on the offensive.
Now we're going for part 3. Now we've seen part 2 and part 1. Thomas Freeman actually timed that redress really well, so he'll be right on the back of Varndell once again. Looks like he's got a bit more pace than Varndell, so he'll have to time his run nicely and try and get by without any contact, so there's no more further penalties between these two.
We're racing for 8th on the bottom of your screen. We'll stay with the battle for 4th position up on the top. This 8th place scrap, Harry Dodds, Tim Mulford and Jamie Dyke all there, trying to open up as much as they can and close in on those margins at this point. Some very defensive lines being taken by Seb Varndale as Dylan O'Shea is going to look now up the inside. Thank you very much. Blake Delaney allows him the place, doesn't put up too much of a fight for it at turn 10. But that just goes to show you that there are some drivers looking to try and preserve their finish in this race. We're talking about the gap at the front of the field. It's now extended to 1.2 seconds, so blink and you miss it. The gap at the front has extended, but at the moment it's all about Seb Varndale, who's second in the championship, who has been dancing about today with Thomas Freeman here on board with the number 1. Not going to be close enough here into the opening corner, but I tell you what, Dylan O'Shea starts to creep on this group. He's going to certainly want to try and find a way through, isn't he, Brady?
Yeah, certainly Dylan O'Shea's certainly put the foot down the last few laps. It looks like he's got a bit more pace than the guys ahead, so he got the job done on Blake Delaney that last lap by, and looks like he'll try and get the job done on Freeman very soon as Freeman. He'll try and get the job done on Varndale. As Varndale runs wide just a little bit once again. More contact between the 4 and the number 1. That's round 3. These guys are absolutely going at it. These guys do not like each other tonight.
No, they don't. That very nearly ended with Sebastian Varndale turned across the nose of Thomas Freeman. Freeman did have to hit the brakes to check up and say, I don't want to make that contact. Door left open then, heading towards turn 10. Nice line by Varndale. He just squirrels it off and holds it up off the exit, trying to get some drive here out of this corner. I tell you what, where do you go if you're O'Shea? Where do you go if you're Delaney? Thomas Freeman finding out the difficult way, how tough it is to make these moves. And the more that they get themselves stuck, like trying to extricate themselves from a rose bush, they might bring Dodds, Mulford, Dyke and Whiting back into this. And I wonder how many drivers they do want racing about to try and win 4th place in this race at the moment. Pit window opening next lap.
Yeah, I certainly think if I was Dylan O'Shea or Blake Delaney, I'll just be sitting back for the next couple laps and wait for it to go as Freeman again gets in the rear bumper of Seb Varndale. Varndale loses the rear again. I think it's on once again. Freeman will come down the inside. Will we see a repeat of a few laps ago? Will he get the job done? Varndale, I think he conceives and gives the spot there to Thomas Freeman. Won't fight too hard. There's nearly more contact once again. These guys are absolutely going hammer and tong. Not even halfway through the race yet, Sperry.
Well, it's a supercar series, which means it's touring car rules. You can hit them, but you can't hit them out there on circuit. And it's been taken to the extremes by number 4 and number 1, who I'm sure will have a look. We do have drivers in. John Fillingham then for P51 dives down into the pits, then it's going to take it. That is the pit entrance, and it's right on the middle of that corner. So you've got to be aggressive if you want to go in into the pits and really gain as much as you can out of it. So just keep that in mind when drivers decide it's the right time to make a stop. It's clear now, though, from Thomas Freeman. He's able to pull away, and there's no looks then into the pits, as now it's Dylan O'Shea's turn to get close with Seb Varndale, and I reckon he's going to have a look at the inside here at turn 1. He's going to have easy pickings of it then, because on the brakes, he gets to the apex first, and he's going to get it nicely slowed up. So another position in the back pocket.
Yeah, certainly looks like Varndale's just struggling with the rear of the car. A little bit the last few laps, his pace has dropped
Safety
off
car.
just a little bit. Another safety
Martin
car.
Hallinan, there's a safety car, and it's right at the pit stop window. This is coming off the exit of turn 4, I believe. And there is Martin Hallinan looking absolutely unhappy with his machinery. Not quite sure where it's gone wrong for him. But that is issues then befalling him out on track. The front absolutely smashed in of the Super Sport entry. And just like that, this will bring everybody in the pits. So for Andrew Dyson, who had just pulled out a 2-second margin at the front of the field, his stop is free, so to speak. But now it's going to be a case of save as much as you can. In comes Andrew Dyson then, trying to open up this pit lane as much as he possibly can and get himself in through. The question's going to be, for those who are already pitted, like John Fillingham, for example, how much of an advantage will he get having made the stop under green conditions compared to right now as they go through? John Fillingham right now, of course, is a lap down, so he'll get his lap back. That's the only good news he'll get from this situation.
Yeah, certainly. I don't think they'll gain a whole lot. I know with a full tank of fuel, you'll nearly lose a whole lap, but these guys will be filling up to the 66.6 litre capacity to make it home. They shouldn't gain too much. And
well, Mulford's around. So Mulford's around at the pits, and he's been turned in pit conditions by Jamie Dyke. So as exiting the pits goes your race leader. This is big. We'll catch this on the Virtual Racing School replay. So they go through there okay. It's when they break for the line, there's overlap, so he gets pushed over the line. He's desperately trying to stop it to make sure he doesn't go over the speeding limit, and then all of a sudden, he just turns it.
Yeah, that certainly looks a little bit clumsy there from Dyke. I'm not really sure what was going on there, what the intention was, but I could definitely see Mulford being a little bit unhappy there. We'll see what Rudskogen will do about that, but can confirm we're looking on the VRS replay of Martin Helen in the OTA. The engine does expire coming into turn 3, so that's why he has pulled up. That explains all the damage on the front end. The engine will let go just about here into turn 3. There's the smoke, and unfortunately that's race over there for Martin Helen and the 028.
All smoke, no mirrors, and goodbye engine. Couldn't get it back up the hill. So that's why the second safety car comes out then on lap 21. Hero 46, Andrew Dyson still your leader. Warboy second, Borg third. It's O'Shea who now jumps up into 4th position. Leapfrogs Thomas Freeman in the pit stop, with Sebastian Varndale down into 7th because Blake Delaney has jumped ahead in the stop as well. So a couple drivers finding just about enough to jump ahead of others out there in the stop. So we'll take another look then at what happens here. So hits the brakes, overcooks it in, 1 touch, 2 touch, and then on the limiter, there's no other way around it. That's really clumsy from Jamie Dyke. You know you can't be making contact going down into the pits, and at that point, when you know you're making contact, you do have to lift off a little bit, because where are you going to make the pass down the lane? It's not like you're side by side and you're at the A pillar.
Yeah, certainly the first one can be maybe understandable with maybe him just not slowing down quite enough, but the secondary and third contacts there, this just a little bit clumsy in my opinion, and probably will warrant a penalty. And unfortunately for Tim Mulford, this actually really stuffed around his race. He was battling about 7th race spot from memory. He's now down to about P17 now. So fortunately for Mulford, he's lost a lot of positions on track, and for a track that's so dependent on track position, certainly not going to help out the 85 machine.
So we do get ourselves then the wave around. It will be for just the one vehicle, and it's a 17 laps down Jack Anderson in the 319 machine, who's been able to get back out there. The super sport battle right now, Delaney and Crum, will be interesting because they're right next to each other, 14th and 15th currently in this race. So those two will be going at it, and between Mulford and Schultz, Shane Nowen's currently 3rd overall in that class, so worth just keeping a small eye on that. But we got Andrew Dyson leading this field, and the moment he was able to break a second, he was gone. But it's the opening couple of laps which often keep Blake Warboys honest in this race, and he'll try to do so once again. Dyson has led every single lap of this 46-lap race so far, and he'll be looking to continue to do so here from Rudskogen, Brady.
Yeah, certainly Andrew Dyson certainly been the class act again tonight. He's been fast. Looks like safety car is actually pulling away, so we will be going green this time by, and we're pretty much reaching the halfway mark as these guys cross the line. So halfway through the race, and I think the fuel will be safe. These guys have been saving under the safety car, so we should be good for fuel. So we have flat out 24 lap sprint to the end, Sperry.
24 laps worth of sprinting. It's not necessarily the easiest decision in the world, but how aggressive do you go off of this restart? Does Blake Warboys get wise to the start of Andrew Dyson and the way that Dyson went for it. So Dyson takes a big wide line because he's trying to open up that exit. He could go at any time from now if he wanted to, if he chose to. And once again, he does well. And I tell you what, that is very well coordinated from the driver who's in 4th position, and the door shut by Brian Borg. Dylan O'Shea was trying to find himself a way through, but on the brakes into 1 and 2, they're all okay for the moment through the first 7 or 8 places. But I tell you what, Dylan O'Shea wasn't too happy with how defensive Brian Borg went, and I don't blame Brian Borg because they can't overtake before they reach the green flag line, the start-finish line. They're not allowed to make that overtake. Dylan O'Shea thought he got a jump on it, but Brian Borg just about had it covered.
Yeah, Dylan O'Shea having another look at Brian Borg for position number 3. We'll have to keep an eye on Andrew Dyson. I think he was pretty close to reaching the track limits there in turn 1 and 2, so we'll have to see if he has a slowdown all during this lap. But Thomas Freeman and the number 1 machine right on the back of Dylan O'Shea once again, battling for P number 4. I think Dylan O'Shea's actually jumped in the pit stop cycle, so good job there for the number 19 machine of O'Shea. As Freeman will try and get back up to position number 4, but all these guys going hammer and tong off this restart, Sperry.
Well, they are. Jake Jackson's just run a little bit deep, and that's opened up Andy Barber then to make the move. He gains the place through turn 10 as they all run over towards turn 11 and 12 now and try and really go through. There is the 07 of Ty Delaney, who is leader currently of Super Sport. Will have behind him Tim Mulford, and behind him second in the champion, or first in the championship, second in the race, Luke Crum, who is right there. So that will also be a little something just to keep there in the back of the mind, a small morsel. But let's go back up a little bit. There's Blake Warboys giving chase, but there is number 1, Thomas Freeman, giving chase. He'll try and get his way to the inside. He's not going to be quite close enough to make that happen. It is such a late braking entrance, but if you go wide like that, you can just sneak one up the inside as easy as pie. There goes Thomas Freeman. Back up into 4th position, and he's got to get past the Brian Borg himself, Brian Borg, to move up to 3rd. And again, wide goes O'Shea, and I think that then for him is a lot of trouble out there. Brian Borg's got a slow down penalty, so here comes the move for 3rd.
Certainly Brian Borg on the defensive as Varndell gets down the inside of Delaney. O'Shea will get them both on the exit of turn 10. So O'Shea 2 for 1 on the exit of turn number 10. Great job. He won't get it done to set Varndell into 11, but Brian Borg, he drove very well there. Turned that little slowdown penalty, took the defensive line on the inside, but Dylan O'Shea, he ran wide there at turn 3 and 4. Easy thing to do when you're under load and turning the car and under brakes. It's a very difficult corner turn number 3. Then he made another mistake, went wide, lost 2 spots to Delaney and Varndell, but made it back up with a sweet 2 for 1 move at turn 10.
Yeah, a wonderful little move there with Varndell absolutely sending the car in. It was very easy to lose that time again, and I'm sure that for Varndell and Delaney in their race, they're certainly going to be thinking about, well, what do you do? Dodds as well, there with Michael Whiting. We're trying to get in on the action then, moving forward, down and back up the hill. They will go through turn 4, and all of a sudden, Varndell is looking behind every time he can. He's got no momentum going forward. All his momentum is being invested in defense, and that is always a dangerous ploy to have when you are in a race like this one.
Yeah, certainly. Varndell's doing a good job, and like you said, he's sort of got to be a little bit defensive way. So his pace being off as Delaney has a little look down the inside. Can't quite get it done at 10. Gets a little bit more drive traction out of the corner, and he won't be able to get the job done into 11. But Brian Borg, again, he's close up on Blake Warboys. Warboys just sort of dropped the back.
Slow down.
Yeah, so Warboys just had a slow down, we've just been told. So that's why the gap's so big, and Brian Borg is now right on the back of him. So now Warboys will be looking in the rear view.
You have to blink around this circuit to find the slow down penalties, and when you do, they certainly do creep up. So Andrew Dyson's been given license at the tune of 2 seconds to walk away at the front of this field, and suddenly it's Warboys and Borg and Freeman and O'Shea who are thinking about second behind. Almost losing the back end is Harry Dodds, almost in trouble through turn 2. So he now finds himself looking at Michael Whiting, who is going to go around the outside, potentially. No, he's going to try and come up and under. Big lock up then. And there's trouble there for Harry Dodds. big trouble for Harry Dodds at the moment. Barber now is going to jump up on the scene. This is issues now for the juiced car.
Yeah, certainly a big moment there in 3 and 4 for Harry Dodds. He done a good job to recover and not to lose too many more positions. And he only just dropped the one there to Whitey as we on screen with John Fillingham and Christopher Tomlin side by side through that tight corner that Freeman and Varndale made contact with the floor, and they got through nice and cleanly, and Fillingham will hang on to position number 20.
Good move by Fillingham. And now let's see what happened here to Harry Dodds. So look, there's contact already. Varndale moving through. That opens up the door with Delaney, but he just gets in the side ever so slightly. And then that opens up for Michael Whiting, who decides to play the James Dean game of who can be the closest to the cliff edge as they go through. And ultimately, you look at the rear brake disc glowing, trying to get that stop. That could have been a big, big disaster there at that section of road, but it just goes to show you how much you have to work. Still, second, third, fourth, and fifth, all there. Thomas Freeman, eyes on the podium, wants to try and find a way to get past Brian Borg if he can. Through turn 4, he might get the chance. Open it up, thank you very much. Borgie's going to have to try and work hard off the exit, but he's got nothing, and he'll have to wait on the outside. And you can't go too far wide there because you can get a slow down penalty, which he's just picked up.
Unfortunately, another penalty for Brian Borg. He'll nearly have to give up the spot to O'Shea unless he gets some really defensive driving. It looks like he's going to slow down. He has to slow down here, but can O'Shea make something happen? Maybe a switchback, a bit of a flash of the lights there from O'Shea. Borg is good to go, and he's going to be driving away as we have a penalty for car 80, which is Jamie Dyke. Contact with Tim Mulford on the pit lane entry on lap 20. So what we've seen in the pit lane entry before has been penalised by race control.
Yeah, absolutely has, and a correct decision by race control as well, I must say, at that point. So still, Brian Borg, who was very clever with the serving of the penalty, now looks at Dylan O'Shea behind. They haven't lost too much time. There's still a long, long way left to go, though, here in this race. And I tell you what, heading to turn 1 and 2, 19 laps to go. Nothing really foretold there in terms of that little scrap that's going on. So they'll have to be patient yet still and know that there is a very, very real chance that mistakes can creep in to everybody else's driving and to everyone else's strategy through turn 4, back up the hill once again. And once more, Brian Borg has everything scouted and covered as he has been doing all race long.
Yeah, certainly a very impressive drive from Borg. A few little mistakes in his race so far. As we've seen, he runs a little bit wide again. Maybe just opens the door for Dylan O'Shea to have a look at the number 19 machine. This is a really good battle for P number 4 at the moment as Thomas Freeman streaked away a little bit, but O'Shea, he'll try the switchback once again. Won't be able to get it done this time by turn number 10, but he's right on the rear bumper as we come up to 11 and 12. O'Shea will have another look down the inside. Very ambitious move. Lock the rear brakes. He'll run wide. Nice executed dirt track slide job there for Dylan O'Shea. Can't quite get it pulled up, and Brian Borg will hang on the spot. But said Varndale right there again as well to try and capitalise.
I didn't think he'd find a gap there. He managed to, but he just couldn't get it stopped. He was so desperate to make the pass. He now opens the door up with Sebastian Varndale now and Blake Delaney. They've joined the crew. So too has Michael Whiting. They know how important this train is right now, racing about for 4th position in this race. Warboys and Freeman 2nd and 3rd. Andrew Dyson out to a 3-second margin at the front of this field. They'll descend down the hill again at turn 4. Not close enough this time to make any move or to think about it right now. So patience is going to have to be preserved at this point. Look how close to the rear Blake Delaney was just for the briefest of moments.
Yeah, certainly Delaney right on the back there of Seb Varndale, who's again struggling. He's been good on the first initial part of the restarts, Seb Varndale, but looks like after a couple laps his car just falls away just a little bit, and he was battling with Dylan O'Shea about a lap or two ago, but he's just dropped off a few car lengths. So looks like Dylan O'Shea again, once again on the back bumper of Brian Borg. Can't quite get it done. Will he try another ambitious move into 11 and 12? Won't this time by, but these guys are putting on a really good race so far as we start lap 30 this time by.
I tell you what, he's looking so quick through turn 13. The only issue he's got is that you hug the inside of the curb over at turn 14 and just hope you've got enough drive off the exit to make a move at turn 1, which isn't the forte of Dylan O'Shea. at this moment in time. Everybody now trying to find themselves a way to drive that's going to make sure everything is nice and clean between now and the end of this race. And as we take a look into the pits then, on the bottom of your screen will be Jamie Dyke, the number 80. And again, he's very close to the line in terms of getting that stopped. So once more, he will come down in, and this one will put him completely out of contention here today from the Rudskogen Motorsenter.
Unfortunately, Dyke, his race is pretty much done now for a good result, as he his drive through dropped right down there, down a P23, the last car on the lead lap. But Dylan O'Shea, once again, right on the rear bumper of Brian Borg. These guys have been going at it for the last few laps. We've seen last night some really good battle packs form. And this track actually produces some really good wheel-to-wheel action as Borg runs wide again, loses the rear end on the exit of turn number 10 there. O'Shea will try and go around the outside, another very ambitious move. He'll try the switchback at turn 12.
Oh,
he might get
brilliant.
the inside line for turn 13. Dylan O'Shea, take a bow. That was absolutely brilliantly done.
That is a masterpiece of an overtake then from Dylan O'Shea. Set him up like a fiddle through turn number 11, and he played a merry tune as he went on by at turn 13 and said, thank you very much, I'll have that position. But now you got Seb Varndell, who is there once again and slowly trying to get through. It looks like right now it's going to be a bit of side-by-side as well between Tim Mulford and Aidan Ford going in towards the opening corner, and that gets itself solved up. But I wonder if there was a bit of argy-bargy as it still comes back. I tell you what, you never count on this driver there, Brian Borg, to give up a position as he's on the wrong side of the road, and Delaney now having to get well out of the throttle through the mid part, otherwise he was going to run straight into the door of the Premier Racing team, number 017. That's how quickly he can go through. Now this is the move then on the front stretch. Aidan Ford then, who was thinking about making that move, just has it covered on that inside. That 90-degree left-hander really does take away a lot of opportunities for two-wide racing.
Yes, and we go to the RS replay here. This is why Brian Borg lost the spot to Varndell, just lost the rear big time on the exit of turn number 2 there. And Seb Varndell got down the inside. Another moment for Brian Borg on the grass. Couldn't quite hang on to it down the back straight into turn number 3. And that's why he lost the spot to Seb Varndell. And now Blake Delaney's right on his rear bumper as we go back to P number 2. Freeman's actually closed right in on Blake Warboys. Last time by, they were separated by nothing really on their lap times, but Thomas Freeman certainly showing some good pace. He might challenge for P number 2 very shortly.
It's all well and dandy sitting on the back of someone, but you're going to have to make an overtake sooner rather than later. That much we do know with 15 laps to go. Blake Delaney will certainly know that. He's trying to figure out where he can find the move. Now, this is the number 85 then, and Tim Mulford making a little bit of contact, then going through with number 26. This is what opened everything up, got right in under the brakes. In fact, nope, didn't quite see anything there. So we'll continue on with racing up through the S's section and over the hill at turn 7 once more. Delaney really trying to open this up, trying to get everything. We'll try right about now to have a little look. Then this is the pass, and this is where Dylan O'Shea got it done with a bit of cleverness. Knows at turn 11 he's on the wrong side of the road. He's going to try and brake later as Brian Borg. All I've got to do is hit my apex and get drive off the exit. I know how good I am at turn 13. You can't hold a candle in the wind to me there, sunshine. And that's how the place was made.
And certainly a fantastic move like we called just a moment ago on Dylan O'Shea's move. And you see how much pace he had because he's checked out massively already on Seb Varndell behind already 1.3 seconds back to the next pack. So certainly it looks like Dylan O'Shea's got a lot of pace. Whether he has enough pace to catch the two in front, maybe if Warboys and Freeman start battling, O'Shea can maybe challenge him by races end. We still got 14 to go, so plenty of time. But Andrew Johnson, once again, he's doing it nice and easy out in front so far.
He is absolutely easy as you like, moving through Freeman, tucking up underneath then through turn 3, and that merges into turn 4, back up the hill. The S's section that follows immediately afterwards. He gets so aggressive there, trying to get car number 1 through. He's looking every which way he can. Turn 10 is a good place that we've seen time and again get done, as we also keep an eye out, not necessarily on Dyke, but on what is Brian Borg, who could very much get through. The race for second, the battle for 5th, They are all there at the moment, and it's second where it's starting to heat up as they head towards turn 12. Warboys, again, just enough of a margin to cover off anything, and they will start hitting traffic soon. Jack Anderson's not a million miles away.
Yeah, certainly. Thomas Freeman keeping the pressure right on the back of Blake Warboys as we go by, this time by 13 laps to go for these drivers. And Thomas Freeman, a little bit of a recovery drive. He was P5 or 6 after those pit stops, and he's certainly shown some good pace. Once he got rid of Seb Varndell, his nemesis in this week's race, he's certainly got onto the back of Blake Warboys. But you still see on the bottom screen, Ryan Borg, Blake Delaney still going at it, Seb Varndell ahead, and even Michael Whiting's on the back of this queue as well.
Certainly is. Now here comes the think again at turn 3 and 4, and Blake Warboys once again covers it off nicely. The 4 behind then don't have any changes of their own to speak of either, so it is very much a case of status at this point with 13 laps to go. And you don't blame drivers at this point wanting to sit in and wanting to watch what drivers have. They have a couple laps in the back pocket where they are afforded such a beautiful opportunity. Speaking of opportunities, I tell you what, Luke Crum is now back ahead of Ty Delaney, so that is another change then in your super sport category, but it is once more as close as it can possibly get as they come out of turn number 9 and look to descend down the hill to 10.
Yeah, these two drivers certainly been the class above, it seems like, the last few weeks at least in the super sport category. Is Luke Crum, big moment on the exit. He might open the door again for Ty Delaney into 11. He can't quite get the job done there. Good driving from Luke Crum, and as I said, these guys have been the class of the field, I think, in the last couple of weeks of the super sport category. Ty Delaney's really been coming on strong, getting better and better each week. He's a really young guy as well. We spoke to him in a couple of weeks ago, really young guy, so he's doing really well. The 07 machine, and Luke Crum got the lead back from Ty Delaney, so these guys are going to be going out for the last 12 laps as well.
Oh, and speaking of, Freeman with a big lunge up the inside then of Blake Warboys, the second position, as we look at this battle a little bit further down, and the move done, it seems, at the moment. Yes, Thomas Freeman back up into second place, has really worked hard for it and managed to make the move. So gets it done through 3 and 4 and up through the S's section. He confirmed it.
Yeah, certainly a really impressive move there from Freeman as we go to the VRS replay of Luke Crum. The pass on Delaney, a little bit of a hip and shoulder there on Ty Delaney. So we'll see if anything gets done about that, but we might try and get a VRS replay of the move that Thomas Freeman put on Blake Warboys. And on cue, as always, Jay Kennedy, and a little bit wide there from Blake Warboys. Opened the door up there for Thomas Freeman. Easy done, and Thomas Freeman up to position number 2, and Warboys just had to lift out of it the last minute to avoid some contact.
Yeah, and so you've got more racing here with the likes then of these two. You've got Crum and Delaney racing for it once more and just getting it sorted on the inside. Almost a look back through from Luke Crum. I tell you what, they're racing like they've been here 20 years or so, and the matter of fact is simple out there right now. They are racing for that super sport lead. They absolutely want it without any shadow of a doubt.
I said it pre-race, Barry, that these guys in the super sport categories have been putting on as good, if not better, battles all season long than the pro guys. So Luke Crum and Ty Delaney once again putting on a fantastic race for the lead of super sport category. And again, they're putting on a great display of drivers. Luke Crum runs wide as I talk him up. He runs a little wide, and they've got a big margin back to the next guy in class, which I believe is John Fillingham in P19. So about 12 seconds back to him. So these guys have pretty much got a 1-2 sewn up at the moment, but they're going to be keep fighting hard play position as we go again to our VRS replay. That looks like Christopher Tomlin, the 212 machine. Big moment there at turn 1. Looks like he might just keep it out of the wall.
Oh, he's done very well to keep it out of the wall. That has Christopher Tomlin. That much we can say, but Brian Borg, who was looking aggressive over the last couple of laps or so, is now looking behind at Blake Delaney. Whichever way he looks, he doesn't quite know whether he's making the right or the wrong decision. I propose he's done both at the same time. He's in a really awkward position where he must attack and he must defend at the same time. Therefore, he finds himself stuck in Schrodinger's overtake.
Yeah, certainly. And these guys on screen past lap traffic once again. Looks like Brian Borg on the exit of turn 2. They're just struggling a little bit on the rear tyres once again. He's staying with Seb Varndell at the moment. This little 4-car train at the moment for position 5 through to 8. Varndell, Borg, Delaney, and Whiting. They all look pretty similar speed at the moment. It's just whether who's got the best tyre life out of everyone. This track is an absolute killer on the rear tyres as Brian Borg has another little look down the inside of turn number 8. Can't get anything done there.
Nope. We'll have to wait then to 10. He's going to have a big look into the mirrors on the inside. The battle on for 13th place as well. Worth keeping an eye out on too. So that then is going to be overall with Aidan Ford, Jack Mickelson, Ty Delaney and Luke Crum out there at this moment in time. Aidan Ford knows what he is capable of doing, and he's got a look, and there's a big look there through the very long turn 14 from Blake Delaney. He wants to find a move on Brian Borg if he can, and at turn 1 that can ultimately becomes a can't in the moment that we just saw.
Yeah, certainly Varndell's still hanging on to that P number 5 where he's pretty much been nearly all season in that P number 5 position. Hanging on to Brian Borg, who was really good early on the race, but a little bit of misfortune, a few little mistakes has sent him back down to P number 6. Still a great drive nonetheless, but Blake Delaney also looking down the inside. A bit of a moment there from Varndell. Loses the rear just a little bit, will hang on to position, but looks like Blake Delaney's just checked out a little bit on his teammate Michael Whiting, and he's looking to push forward and try and get another spot here.
Don't blame him right now in this situation. He's absolutely got to make those moves. He's got to find the right time to make it happen. And here comes Delaney from a league back. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. Can he get the drive off the exit? Also, yes, he can, but not enough to clear here. And, of course, Borg's got the inside going forward. Not much you can do trying the up and under, but he learned from his lesson from Dylan O'Shea, and he just completely forced a log jam going through at that section. Clawing onto the back for the moment was Michael Whiting. He takes a really weird line through turn 13 and drops back. But that there from Blake Delaney is learning, and troubles for Ty Delaney. So both Delaney's in it at the moment. Ty Delaney in trouble at turn 10, and it is contact with Luke Crum.
Unfortunately, their two leaders in Super Sport have come together, and unfortunately, I think that Luke Crum will have a penalty coming his way. We go to the VRS replay and just couldn't get it pulled up quite in time at turn 10. Luke Crum in the LCR machine got in the side of Delaney, and that looks like if a penalty comes his way, Ty Delaney still has a gap. He's still in P2 in class, but we'll have to see what race control decide to do with the number 30 of Luke Crum. Looks like he is slowing down a little bit to try and possibly readdress the issue. We'll have to see what happens there.
No, not just yet. Staying there with Wade Sheedy. Just lost the place outright, but we'll keep eyes on that at least for the moment. Down the hill towards turn 10. Blake Delaney trying to find a move, and again is going to open up something on the exit. Doesn't have as much of an overlap this time as Seb Varndell also ran wide just in front through turn 12. This time he's got to get drive off the exit. Just has to temper slightly for fear of running into the left rear quarter panel, and all of a sudden through the long right, that gap extends out. It's a car length. It's half a car length. It's now 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths. Continue counting.
Yes, and it looks like Varndell's just put a little bit of a gap now on Borgie, and for position number 5 looks pretty consolidated there for the moment. But Delaney again saying right on the back of the 017 machine, he has not left him alone for the last 5 to 10 laps as well. So Delaney certainly pushing on. He's checked out again a little bit, nearly a second on his teammate Michael Whiting. So looks like the big battle in this top half of the field is between Borgie and Delaney.
6.5 laps to go then here from the Rudskogen Motorsenter. Andrew Dyson has led every single lap of this race as a drive-through penalty comes through for the 07 machine. For the car 30, that's Luke Crum. There is incident with the 07 machine, which I think is a little bit harsh there for Luke Crum, but they were battling quite heavy amongst each other. But that is a big drive-through penalty for Super Sport.
Yeah, so then it's going to change the complexion of this race. This will effectively give Ty Delaney the lead back, and Unfortunately, that's going to drop Luke Crum right back in the field. He's going to lose a lot of time. He's going to be probably 5th or 6th in class now after that. So, unfortunately, Luke Crum, that one little error, bit of a rushed move, we could say, in turn number 10. Didn't do a lot wrong, just got in there a little bit too hot, and unfortunately, he's got himself a drive-through penalty for it.
Yeah, so this is pretty critical right now because we are reaching that crunch time. 6 laps to go. Blake Delaney is trying to throw everything he's got at Brian Borg to prove that he can make the move and he can go forward here at Rudskogen. And he can find the overtake. Answer at the moment is not just yet. Now in comes the penalty to be served by car number 30 of Luke Crum. He will not go 100% here today around this track. He knows that, and he knows he has to come in and serve the penalty. But at this point in time, this is where the racing is. This is where it's the most spicy in the highest place positions in the field. It's P5, it's P6, it's P7, and Seb Varndell just can't break away from the two behind who are constantly battling their way through turn 10.
Yeah, certainly these guys have pretty much been racing each other. Feels like all race long. Varndell, Borg, and Delaney, they've just been going at it as Borg, a bit of a poor exit there from turn 12. Delaney can't get anything done in turn 13, and looks like Delaney just has a little bit more speed at the moment, but just can't quite get anything done. So 5 laps to go this time. Boy, Borg struggled on the exit of turn 14 there. Delaney's having a look down the straightaway. Borgie goes defensive. Will Delaney get anything done around the outside? Certainly, I wouldn't think so. Keeps committed, can't quite get it done into turn 2. What's the drive traction? Delaney closes in mid-corner, and Brian Borg will get a good enough drive exit off turn number 2 there. He'll hold on the spot for now.
I'm not sure if this is a T option for traction or a C option for car at this point for Russell Westbrook. Either way, he's going to need a little bit of help out there to hold this off behind, because Blake Delaney has been looking here, he has been looking there, he has been looking everywhere to try and find these overtakes that move him up from 7th place overall to 6th place overall. Trying to get some drive down towards turn 10. Not going to happen. Slightly defensive line taken. Borg runs wide. Delaney almost shadows and follows him in sympathy. And suddenly they're too wide up the hill here. Making the run towards turn 11. They'll fight inch for inch as they go through. But it is Brian Borg on the inside who holds.
Yes, certainly. Delaney made him work for it really hard there. I thought Delaney got the move done, but Borgie stayed committed on the inside there. Placed his car really well and left Delaney really no choice to lift out of it to avoid big contact. So, obviously, for the massive battle these guys had, they've dropped right off the back of Seb Varndell. We only said a lap ago that Varndell couldn't shake him, and that's all it took. 1 lap of battling between Borg and Delaney, and Varndell's skipped away just a little bit. He's got a bit of extra security for the final 4 laps.
He does have that security the same way that the top 2 in this race have security. 5.5 seconds for Andrew Dyson in Super Sport. That margin is 13 at this moment in time between Delaney and Schultz. Let's take a look, though, at this replay. This is Harry Dodds, and this is why he's fallen back, because the back kicks out through turn number 12. And just like that, you don't give that one corner some respect, and the back end will just step out and say, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed your day.
Yeah, unfortunately, 2 spots lost there for Harry Dodds. He's lost the spot to Andy Barber and now Jake Jackson into the 10th spot as we go to Blake Delaney. Tries to be very ambitious around the outside of turn 10. But unfortunately, leave the door open for his teammate Michael Whiting, but Whiting won't fight him too hard. Bit of respect there between the 2 teammates, and Delaney, a massive moment. Very ambitious move. Trying to go around the outside of turn 10. I have not seen that done before.
Well, if you've got 2 teammates there, then there's one thing you must do, and that is collaborate and coordinate in the final stages of the race. If you're not going to get an overtake done now, you're going to have to manufacture one out of thin air, and that's even the toughest challenge for people at the best of times, let alone the worst, where they find themselves right now flicking through turns 1 and turns 2. Out there overall, Blake Warboys, by the way, will be looking very nervous behind him, because Dylan O'Shea has brought the gap down to 0.8 of a second the last time they were over the line. I tell you what, Blake Warboys, you're going to feel a lot of pressure breathing down your neck from a driver who has been undoubtedly a brand new star, of course, from brand old tricks, so to speak, winning the first round of this championship.
Yeah, certainly Dylan O'Shea's fought hard for his positions here tonight. He was falling back about P5 or 6 earlier on, but he's fought his way through. He got past the battling back of Vandel and Borg, and now he's closing right up to the back of Blake Warboys. We did say we'd keep an eye out for him end of the race to see if he's closed the gap, and he's certainly done that. So we're 3 laps to go this time by, actually 2 laps to go this time by, so he's going to have to make it last minute, but I think he's got enough pace to maybe get the move done the final lap.
Maybe so, and that could be crucial, that final lap, to see what more can you do. The left and right then, as we are on lap 45 of 46, just a couple of popsicle sticks then are left in the air. You got Michael Whiting trying to figure out a pass on Blake Delaney on the final lap of this race. Outside of that, it looks a very, very barren raceland. A few two-car battles here, there, and everywhere, and the race for third, closing more and more, and that's Troy Mortensen in trouble in the barriers, and he'll get the tow, but there will be no safety car that goes through. That should be okay to tow at that point, but still, they race on, and I tell you what, you keep looking here, Brady, at what's going on. Blake Warboys, he's going to need a big lap and a bit to defend this podium.
Yeah, certainly you can see the speed of Dylan O'Shea at the moment. He's closing right on the back. Will O'Shea have a move? Will he try the switchback that he did on Brian Borg and Blake Warboys? He's aware of it. He'll shut the door there and won't get him through as Andrew Dyson. He'll be coming to take the white flag this time by. As we go there, Barney, the iRacing flag man, will give Dyson the white flag, but Dylan O'Shea is still right there on the back of Blake Warboys. He's only got pace to bend, but he's only got 1 lap left to do it.
Well, he's worked all race to get back to this position. The question is, can he go one further and put himself on the podium where Blake Warboys can't? It would be massive for Andrew Dyson if he could and find that one extra position that jumps him up on there. But right now, you have to start wondering at a circuit like this where it can be at times a little bit prickly to overtake. Can you find somewhere where you can? Not at turn 3 and 4, which is the prime place to get it done. You're going to have to be creative right now if you are Dylan O'Shea. Up the hill, flicking through the S's section, the left, followed immediately by the right, and then at turn 7, up over the hill, merging into turns 8 and 9, the chances are starting to just dry up and fall away. We'll stay with this one to turn 12. That's where we'll see how good this is. It's close here, and it's going to give a little tap to the back. Then moving forward here is one Dylan O'Shea. Warboys trying to hold on to it. He covers, but for Andrew Dyson, who rounds the final corner, he will clean up house again and win this race here from Rudskogen Motorsenter. He is unstoppable in this form at the moment. Thomas Freeman will take second, and Blake Warboys is going to survive to hold on to a podium, as that was everything given by Dylan O'Shea.
Yeah, there was certainly not much in that at all between Warboys and O'Shea. Great standard of driving between those guys. We go back to Jake Jackson there on screen. He's position number 10 at the moment. Lucky number 10. He'll come across the line, and I think that might be his first top 10 of the season. Great drive there from Jake Jackson, up 2 positions, and fantastic drive there, holding off Harry Dodds there at the end.
Well, he was certainly erratic in the early stages, but let's look back to number 07, Ty Delaney. A massive, massive shake-up now in Super Sport with what happened earlier on to Luke Crum, getting the drive-through penalty that dropped him back behind the likes of John Fillingham and Christopher Tomlin, because it is going to be Delaney who gets over the line and takes his position. But he did gain places, though, on the final lap, because there was a massive, massive bust-up on the last lap between Jack Mickelson and Wade Sheedy, and there was a redress involved in that as well. So let's get confirmation of results after we look at this replay. So here it comes into turn 10, getting it slowed. Sheedy sees the open door and decides, you know what? I can't quite get out of it here. It's the last lap. And so around goes the tip, able to get back going again, but ultimately decides to redress the position heading through the final stages, saying, you know what, that pass that I just made, I wasn't quite right. Official results then are as follows. Andrew Dyson, 1 hour and 7 minutes and 3 seconds, picks up the win by 4.5 over Thomas Freeman in second, who was trying to chase him down, but definitely ran out of time to do so. It is Fords through the top 6 with Blake Warboys finishing in third, just edging out Dylan O'Shea, with Seb Varndale in 5th and Brian Borg for the Premier Racing team in 6th position overall. Michael Whiting would be the first of the Holdens in 7th place, with Blake Delaney just behind in 8th. That a change on the final lap of the race, with Andy Barber in 9th and Jake Jackson rounding out the top 10 overall. Over the page to Harry Dodds. He ended up in 11th with Tim Mulford 12th and Aidan Ford 13th. Ty Delaney, your super sport category driver, able to come away with the big one here today at Rudskogen, with Jack Mickelson 15th, Wade Sheedy, Jai Schultz and Jamie Dyke, who of course had that drive-through penalty for contact with Tim Mulford, finishing down in 18th. John Fillingham and Chris Tomlin get podiums in super sport with their 19th and 20th place finishes respectively. And once more over the page to P21, it will be retirees and others. Luke Crum, the last finisher on the leading lap, with Shane Nowns a lap down, Troy Mortensen 2 down, and then Seth Brown finishing out 11 laps down. Jack Anderson, Martin Hallinan, a big one, and 3 drivers finishing behind the safety car, Connor Nixon, Matthew Shanahan, and Tom Pritchard here today from the beautiful Rudskogen Motorsenter. We do have the opportunity to talk to some drivers. Brady Baldwin has been wandering down the paddock and he has found Andrew Dyson.
Andrew Dyson, another win for you in this series. Congratulations first off. How did you find the race out there tonight?
Hey guys, thanks man. Yeah, it's pretty uneventful aside from that safety car, but yeah, I guess the main things for me was making sure I got a good start and then not getting the slowdown was the main thing, because they're pretty brutal around here.
Yeah, certainly. We seen that a bit last night as well in the V8 Veterans. We're going to ask you, this is a new track on the iRacing service, and I was a bit skeptical on how it'd race in these touring cars. Bit hard to ask you since you probably had a bit of an easier run out in front. Not too much battling for you, but how do you find the track in these cars?
Well, I can imagine passing wouldn't be, very easy. Like, pretty much every time you can get a run on somebody and get up the inside on the exit of a corner, it leads into another corner, which is like you end up on the outside basically for the next one. So not super easy to pass, really tough battling around here, I could imagine. Dylan was saying it's very hard to pass. So other than that, it's pretty flowy, not too bad. I like it.
Next week we do head off to the mountain, Bathurst next week. What are your thoughts going into that? Obviously, he's probably one of your favourites on the schedule.
Oh, man, you'd be surprised. I'm not a huge fan of Bathurst, dude. It's just, or maybe I've overdone it, or maybe it's overdone a bit. I don't know, but yeah, I'll come out and just have a crack, I suppose.
Once again, congratulations on your win tonight. Before we let you go, any sponsor shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, of course, man. Always to you guys for putting on the broadcast and all the guys at Global who, facilitate this whole thing. And shout out to the guys at DSL Welding Services, Inside Lane Productions, for Get Behind the League. Really appreciate that. And of course, a quick one to our sponsors at simrigs.com, South Wellington Hoist, Baymax Mechanical, and Phoenix Smokers, and MP Designs.
Once again, congratulations, Andrew, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Always, thanks guys, and congrats to everybody else tonight. Good race.
Thank you, Andrew. And looks like Jake Sparrow, he's found Thomas Freeman, who collected P number 2 tonight.
I certainly have. Now, Thomas, we have to go all the way back to the near beginning of that race, because it looked like, at least in the early stages, that you were going to be in that number 1 Fishy Motorsports machine for an eventful ride of things. Talk us through a little bit of adventures with car number 4, Seb Varndale.
Yeah, thanks, boys. It was really good. It was pretty much my own fault what set me back. I got a slowdown for the first time, and I've cut a lot of laps around this track for the practice, and not once have I gotten a slowdown. And of course, I saved one for the race, and it cost me a fair bit. And then, with Seb, I think, a few of the drivers, when they struggle with pace, they defend really hard. And I tried my best to make it fair, and we come in contact, a little bit of a spin, dropped back, but I fought my way back. And it was pretty good towards the end there, and come home in P2 after. If you told me I was going to come home in P2 at the start after that slowdown, I would have said no way. But no, it was a really good comeback from myself, and I can't be happier. It's really good.
So the big slide then coming up over the brow of the hill, oncoming traffic, basically diving 6s and 7s each way to try and get out of the way of you. At that point, when you're in an instant like that, are you just praying that nobody just drives into your broadside?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, when the car's out of control, and I think the worst part is as I thought I was going to go right round, but when I kind of gathered it and caught the slide, I'm like, oh, good, and I'm like, all right, here's the next part. I'm probably going to get hit, and it'll probably turn me anyway. But yeah, you just hold on, and you just hope that that you don't. That a car doesn't hit you. And I think as well, it was 2 of my teammates, so it was Blakey and Michael, so I think they probably would have been a little bit more cautious, and I think it was Dikey as well. So I mean, when your teammates are behind you, a little bit more cautious, so I was probably saved by my teammates there as well.
Saved by the bell, but an incredible fight back to get to 2nd position overall. It's a very welcome 2nd for you. And I'm sure that the start and finish position doesn't tell the story one bit. But let's talk about next week, because we are mountain chasing where we go through Mount Panorama, Bathurst. Where do you see yourself looking to try and make the challenge with the #1 Fishy Motorsport car next week?
Oh, look, I'm just going to give it my all like I always do. Race fair, race hard. And I mean, Dyson, O'Shea, War Boys, they're going to be super quick there. And even Blako and Dikey. So, I mean, it's not going to be easy, but look, as the race comes in, I'm just going to try my best, try to be as fast as I possibly can. And of course, rule #1 at Bathurst is probably keep it out the fence.
I'd agree with that. I think that's a good rule to take to most circuits, if not all of them. Keep it out the fence. Before we let you go here, Thomas, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
Yeah, cheers, boys. So Parramatta Peugeot Professional, Infinity, MJS Gaming, Parramatta Isuzu Utes, DC Shades, and also Fishy Motorsports for getting me on, and West End Mazda Group, and also for you guys, thanks for the broadcast. It's awesome. And you guys put in a lot of work behind the scenes, so thank you guys very much.
No worries at all there. Thomas Freeman, 2nd position overall in that battle. Brady, you've gone right down to the WKMP garage out there at the moment, because 3rd position overall ended up being Blake Warboys.
We have found Blake Warboys in the virtual paddock. Blake started 3rd, finished 3rd, but that really doesn't tell much of the story. Tell us about how your race went tonight.
Yeah, not too bad. Struggled a little bit with the rear tyres. I didn't seem to last very long, so it was very hard to sort of keep up with Andrew and then Tom at the end there. To keep Dylan off right in the last few laps was quite tricky. But all in all, another podium is nothing to complain about.
He certainly had a busy night battling with Andrew Dyson early on. Then that battle at the end with Thomas Freeman was really good as well. How did you find the racing out there tonight, battling side by side with those boys?
No, it was good. Everyone's been driving really clean in the series, so it's good to see. Track doesn't really give many overtaking opportunities, so you're really relying on someone to make a mistake, and made a mistake early in the race, getting a slow down, then I made a mistake late in the race, giving him the position back. So it's, yeah, a little bit of a mind games track, I guess you could say.
Next week, we do head off to Mount Panorama Bathurst for the next round of the series. What are your thoughts heading to that place?
Looking forward to it. I did a 2.5 hour enduro there for the MTE Enduro Series over the weekend. So, got a few laps under my belt now this year, which is good. So, we had some good setups last year, so we'll hopefully go out and get another podium.
Before we let you go, Blake Warboys, after your P3 performance tonight, any sponsor shout-outs you want to give?
WKMP Sim Sports, Wodonga Karts and Parts, LGK Karts Australia, EKS Karts Australia, and Super Cheap Auto for their support this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Blake, and congratulations on P3 once again. Hopefully we'll see you next week as we head to Jake Sperry in the virtual paddock once again. He's found our Supersport winner, the 07 of Ty Delaney.
Yes, and hopefully less robotic this time. I'm sure that we'll find ourselves through. It wasn't a robotic drive at all, really, from Ty Delaney. He had himself a way up and down the order. Ty, it's your first victory here in the Super Sport category. Let's have a little chat about what made that race so difficult in a sense for it, because you started 15th, you finished in 14th, but you had to go up and down quite a bit. What makes this Rudskogen circuit so difficult to drive?
Well, there's not many overtaking spots, throughout the entire track. So I just had to stick to my racing line, and hopefully the people in front of me would make a good mistake.
So you found yourself with a really good chance late on. You were racing really aggressively, of course, with Luke Crumbs. So talk us through that incident which saw Luke get a penalty for it, because it looked like, especially from our view up here, that you had yourself maybe just enough of the room. You had yourself committed to the corner, and it was just maybe a little bit late from Luke.
Yeah, I saw the dive bomb and didn't have that much time to react, but I tried to keep in front of him, and yeah.
Well, you found yourself through, and you found yourself with a victory. Now, how fun is it for you to come into a series like this and know that when you're racing around in Super Sport and getting your racing all sorted and having your fun, that you've got Dad up there racing a little bit further up in the field, going out there and having a race with you? So how cool is that for you that you get that ability to go out there and race?
Yeah, it's awesome. He always helps me with my driving, and he's really supportive of my driving, and yeah.
Give it a couple years or so, and we might have a new superstar on our hands. Before we let you go, Ty, shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank West End Motor Group, West End Mazda, DC Shades, Relax, Infinity Designs, DC Shades, Adrenaline Images, Battery Warehouse, and most of all, Fishy Motorsports.
I tell you what, there, Ty Delaney had a really, really good run today, and a deserved victory on top of that in category. We will head to the mountain 1 week from today, Friday the 3rd of February. Mark it down. We are heading to Mount Panorama. It is the Great Australian Sim Race, but here it will be the Great Australian 250 that will be taking its hold with us and the DSL Welding Services V8 SuperCup. And you want to make sure that you're in on that and getting yourself in and involved. A massive thank you then here from round 7 of the championship from the Rudskogen Motorsenter has to go to, of course, title sponsor DSL Welding Services, including Inside Lane Productions and the SS Images that have been along with us for the ride. From Jay Kennedy, who has been in the booth on cameras for us. You've had Brady Baldwin along with me for the ride. My name's been Jake Sperry. Once again, it is Andrew Dyson. He takes care of business. Nobody can match him at this point. He is so consistent with the way that he drives. I think the first goal for everybody around when it comes to racing is you've got to beat him on a qualifying lap, and you've got to try and get through. It is getting a lot closer up at the very tippy top when it gets to your super sport category. That's a big win for Ty Delaney. That is a big confidence booster for him and his young sim racing career, and we'll see how that one progresses. But it's the mountain that comes along next. No prisoners when it comes to the mountain. Everybody knows how difficult that circuit can be, and we will see you 1 week from today when round 8 brings itself through. The mountain awaits.
World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now. Download your copy today.